there was before Oppenheimer, and there's after Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan's movies got everyone talking this weekend. It's one half of the Barbenheimer extravaganza. I already did my video on Barbie. If you've watched it, which a lot of you have, thank you so much, and welcome back to the video if you've not already. And make sure you subscribe if you've not already either. But Christopher Nolan's movie has everyone talking, like I said. And it was by far my most anticipated movie of the year. If you know me, you know that I am a Nolan fanatic. I've seen his filmography numerous times. Inception is my number 2 favorite movie of all time, and he's just the gold standard when it comes to directors working in Hollywood today. The insistence on doing everything practically and in camera, the insistence on big, bold set design and sound and all of the above, and the filmmaking in general with insistence on filming in IMAX and in the biggest format possible. I love Christopher Nolan and what he does for Hollywood and filmmaking in general. And with Oppenheimer, I was so excited to see him tackle yet another genre that we have not seen him tackle, and that is the biopic. That is the historical drama. Like, every time Nolan comes around and makes a new film, he does something different. He does something you've never seen before. It's unique, it's fresh, and you're like, how could this man think up yet another absolute banger? And he did it here with Oppenheimer. At the time of recording this, the box office numbers just came out, and it is basically confirmed that Oppenheimer crushed its projections and brought in $81 million at the domestic box office for its first weekend. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but if you think about it, it is a 3-hour history lesson biopic. Why would anyone in their right mind go watch this in a theater? Well, I'm very happy to report that, one, I've seen it twice, and I didn't want to film this video until I had seen it a second time, but everyone is flocking to the theater to watch this. I was looking at showtimes today on Sunday, the day I'm recording this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the rest of next week, and they're like all still sold out. I have a theater here in Dallas, Texas, where I live, that is showing it in 70 millimeter IMAX, which is like the cream of the crop when it comes to the format that Nolan intended this film to be seen in. It is sold out. Every single showing, including the 10:25 p.m. showing, it is sold out for the next month. I was trying to get a ticket, couldn't find one for the next month. That is the Nolan effect, and he is here with Oppenheimer, and this was a very long-winded way to say that I'm reviewing this movie today, and I really freaking loved it. This movie is incredible. It's his magnum opus. It's a masterpiece. I didn't want to throw out the M word after the first showing because I was in so much shock at what I had just watched. But upon reviewing it and seeing it a second time, holy mother of God, this movie is a masterpiece. It is one of Nolan's best movies he's ever made, and it is one that's going to last the test of time as one of the most important movies that we have seen in the 21st century. Maybe all of film, but in the 21st century in specific, this is one of the most incredible and important films that I've ever watched. We'll get more into that in the writing. But that was a very long-winded intro into just me saying that, hey, welcome to my review. I hope y'all are having a great day. And yeah, I loved this movie. Okay. Where do I even begin here? Okay. I need to wind up because this movie, you all know, was my most anticipated movie of the year. I love anything that Nolan does, and the hype for this was at an all-time high. So for it to live up to the hype and exceed the hype, it's pretty special, and it's really good. Okay, here we go. I have my notes. The writing is one of the strongest aspects of this film. We're telling the story of this incredibly complex man, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and not only the creation of the atom bomb, so I want to make that clear. Like, this movie's not just about the Trinity, like the Manhattan Project and the Trinity test. Like, there's a lot more to this movie. This movie is a straight up biopic about J. Robert Oppenheimer and his life and the turmoil that he went through the Manhattan Project and the McCarthy era and after that and the Red Scare. Like, that's what this movie is about. And Nolan does a thing here that I'm sure has been done before. Like, I may be too naive. Like, I haven't seen every movie. But he jumps from like between like 5 different genres, and it never feels tacky. It never feels out of place. It never feels crammed together, and it never feels unbalanced. You have a war film. You have a thriller. You have a straight up horror movie. You have this scientific / American like biopic. And you also have this courtroom drama all in one. And for that to be balanced properly and handled in a way that was delicate while also having a very clear message, that is incredible writing. And I think Nolan absolutely killed it. He hit it out of the park. This is some of the most dense and complex writing I've ever seen in a film. The story of an incredibly complex human being who was a genius, who was world-renowned, dealing with the consequences of not just this huge project that was one of the most important things to ever happen in the history of the world, but also having to deal with the consequences of his beliefs and his friendships and the people he was closest with. Like, there's 2 factors here that are at work in Oppenheimer's head. And the second most important thing about the writing, this wouldn't work if it wasn't constructed the way it was. I'm sure you all know about this already, but if you don't, I'm going to let you in on a little secret about Oppenheimer. This isn't spoilers. This is literally something Nolan said in multiple interviews before the movie. He wrote this script in the first person, which, me personally, I've never seen a movie do that before. There probably has been a movie that's done that before, and if there is, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to go watch it. But for me, that's like groundbreaking. Like, that's incredible. The color sequences in this movie are subjective. They are from the perspective of Oppenheimer himself and how he believes that those events panned out. When you go to black and white, that is objective. That is written in history, what actually happened. And that's very important to know because we jump back and forth, not just in time, but in perspective. And how this movie is so cohesive boggles my mind, and how it's so accessible and easy to follow boggles my mind because of how complex the structure actually is if you think about it. You are not just hopping back and forth in time, but you're also hopping back and forth in perspective. Like, that's freaking incredible. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get how it works so well, but it does. It just works perfectly to utter perfection. I need to take a sec. Oh my Lord, I need to take a sec. I'm like lounging back in the chair because I'm like so like hyped up. This is gonna be a long video, guys. Buckle up. We're really talking about it today. I'm wearing my Barbenheimer shirt that finally came in the mail. Yeah, ooh, guys, this is an intermission. I need to take a sec to just breathe. Okay. Directing. We could skip this part. Like, you guys already know. You already know. It's Christopher Nolan. This is his magnum opus. So everyone's talking, like, Nolan has, I think from front to back, probably one of the most accomplished and incredible filmographies of all time. Like, if you just look at his work, he's never put out a bad movie. Like, there's no, like, Following, while it's not the best movie in the world, it's not a bad movie. Like, he's never put out a movie that is like straight up bad. And further than that, like, Every movie he makes, like I kind of said in my really long formatted intro, he's doing something new and doing something groundbreaking that people have not seen before. Like he continues to push the boundaries of filmmaking, and he does that again here. So for me to even make the argument that this might be his best movie ever, that's like you're going up against giants. Inception, The Dark Knight, Interstellar, The Prestige, like Memento. You're going up against some giants. But my God, this might be one of his best, if not his best made movie ever. And I want to be clear, best made movie ever. Although, the more I think about it, and this might just be a recency bias, like I'm going to whisper to you guys right now, this might just be recency bias, but like, it might be his best movie, just in general. Like, it's just freaking good. All right, back to regular volume here. Okay. If there is a time, which I don't know how we haven't had that yet, but if there is a time where Nolan's going to win the Academy Award for Best Director, this is it. Because this is not only, like, for regular film fans, like, just a really awesome, great movie, but, like, for the Academy, like, this is an Academy-type movie that they are going to eat up and absolutely love. It's going to be nominated for, like, everything. It's going to win awards. Like, will it win Best Picture? Probably not. Probably not. But, like, lock it in for, like, a bunch of texts, maybe an acting award. And I'm very excited for Killers of the Flower Moon. I think Scorsese is going to kill it. But is this the time for Nolan? Like, I think it might be. And it would be very well deserved. He has a way of keeping the audience engaged that I don't think any other director can do. I don't. I firmly believe that no other director can keep an audience engaged like Nolan can. I just don't believe that anyone can. That's just my opinion. Like, that's just my opinion. But again, like, this movie is proof of that. It is a 3-hour biopic. Historical drama. 3 hours. The runtime is 3 hours. That is Avengers Endgame runtime type stuff. And I was engaged the entire time. There was not a second in this movie that I felt was filler. There was not a second in this movie that I think you could have trimmed. Like, you're in it from start to finish. It's frenetic. It's snappy. It's quick. Like, the way he composes and the way he paces sequences in this movie is incredible. You cannot linger on something for too long in a movie like this, because then people are going to find holes in it. They're going to call pacing as an issue. There is going to be feedback that is not favorable. Nolan, as he usually is a master of pacing and editing and construction when it comes to how the story is told. The Trinity test sequence is absolutely thrilling. It is. Like, it's probably it's going to be the best sequence of the year, probably, in my opinion. I like it, unless, like, I'd say maybe a sequence in Dune Part 2 might come close, if that doesn't get pushed back to 2024. But that sequence is, like, the most riveted I've been in a long time in any film. Any film. Like, Across the Spider-Verse might be close, with some of the sequences it had, but even then, like, I was biting my nails on the edge of my seat with the Trinity test, because, like, you know what's going to happen, but, like, you're, like, eagerly waiting. And it's everything. It's the cinematography, it's the composition of just the sequence as a whole, it's the performances, it's the sound, it's the score, it's everything. Like, that sequence is the sum of all the parts of that incredible cast and crew. And I think that's just the vision from Nolan and how he wanted to execute it. Like, that's incredible. It's incredible. I'm always interested to see, and I've made this point a few times now, but I'm going to continue to make it because it's incredible to me. It's earth-shattering to me. I'm always interested to see what Nolan's going to do next and, like, what bonkers idea he's going to come up with, like, every time. I love here how he pushed filmmaking over spectacle. The Trinity test, of course, is incredible. Like, that's the spectacle of the movie. But this movie, like, it's more about the storytelling. It's the writing. It's the courtroom scenes and the Senate hearings and the conversations. This is a dialogue-heavy movie. This is a talky-ass movie. And for you to fully feel entrenched in the mind of J. Robert Oppenheimer throughout this movie, and feeling the dread he feels, feeling the guilt he feels, feeling the cockiness and confidence that he feels at times, like, that's kind of, at this point, not his early work, but at this point, that's very uncharacteristic of Nolan, I believe. You know, a lot of people like to argue in, like, some of his most recent films that, like, there was very hollow type writing for, like, the characters, and it was, like, all spectacle. That's been an argument in the past, and I can see that to a point. So Nolan decided, okay, I'm going to throw spectacle out the window, and we're just going to tell a story. And for him to just knock it out of the park, I mean, he's continuing to prove that he's one of the best working directors in Hollywood. I think he is. That might be an unpopular opinion. It might be a dead-on right opinion that everyone else thinks, but I think that he's one of the best directors in Hollywood, and he proved it once again with Oppenheimer. Like, it's incredible. It's time to talk about the performances. What do you say? I mean, what do you say about the performances? I was following every single casting detail. Every time there was a new casting, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is great. It's awesome. This movie, it lives and dies with its performances. And thankfully, the performances are incredible. Cillian Murphy, oh my God, I loved him before this. I loved Peaky Blinders. I loved everything he had been with Nolan. Like, I loved Cillian Murphy as an actor. I knew he was really good. Oh my God, he's just brilliant. He transforms into this role. You don't see Cillian Murphy in this. I never once thought about Thomas Shelby in this movie. He was Oppenheimer. He was this haunted man who was reckoning with this power and what that burden has. He was America's Prometheus. He gave man the power of the sun, and he had to live with that. And God, he was so good. I mean, like 99% of this movie, it's him on screen, and he hits it out of the park. Maybe 95%. He hits it out of the park. I mean, he's phenomenal. He should win an Oscar. Will he? Maybe not. Should he? Absolutely. This is me starting up the train for Cillian Murphy to win the Oscar for best lead actor, because he deserves it. He is just absolutely incredible. It's just so good. Robert Downey Jr. He's a standout in this too. This is, I believe, in my opinion, his best performance of his career. He as Strauss is fantastic. It's not as big and bombastic of a role as you would expect, but he plays that kind of delicate, kind of sinister role really well. And he's getting a lot of Oscar buzz as well, which I think is very warranted. This might be a dub for him. We'll see. I don't know. But I think that, at least in his career, this is the best performance of his career. It is. I think it is. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's just so good. Emily Blunt's heartbreaking in this. I think she's great. Like, I think a lot of people have a little bit of beef with how the female characters were handled, and I can understand that with Emily Blunt and Florence Pugh. They get very limited screen time. They don't have a lot to do. I can understand that. The way that I comprehended what the roles of both of those characters were, Emily Blunt's character is there to push the greatness out of Oppenheimer. Like, there are multiple sequences in that movie where she's like, these people are counting on you, or she's like, you're the only one that can make this happen. Like, she sees the potential in Oppenheimer, and she's trying to push it out when he doubts himself. And Florence Pugh's character is trying to keep him a little bit in check, because at times he can be very cocky. He's a womanizer. He's all of those things. And she's trying to keep him in check a little bit. Would I have liked to see more of each of them? Absolutely. I think when they were on screen, they were really good. Emily Blunt in particular has a sequence at the end of the movie during her trial hearing, whatever it was, where she's phenomenal. That was just kind of how I interpreted it. I could be completely off base and completely wrong. They were both really good with the limited screen time they had. I wish we would have saw them more, but that's just what happened. I like Matt Damon here. I think he's got really good chemistry with Cillian Murphy. Like, they spend a lot of time together. I think he was fantastic. Alden Ehrenreich is a sleepy MVP here. He had some of the funniest moments in this movie. And I think that he should be getting more flowers for this role, because I think he was actually sneaky good. And he was kind of playing the role of the audience a little bit. He was kind of playing the role of the audience, which I really liked. And also shout out to Jason Clarke. He's phenomenal as well. Like, those are some of the performances that I don't think are getting enough love. Like, he was really good as well. And Rami Malek was pretty good too. The cast as a whole is just incredible. It's such a star-studded cast. You can't go wrong. Jack Quaid, Josh Peck, Benny Safdie, lots of others. Casey Affleck shows up here. I'm sure that was announced in casting. I just missed it, because when Casey Affleck shows up on screen, I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? But like, stacked to the brim with brilliant performances. I would almost guarantee a SAG Ensemble nomination. I would guarantee a SAG Ensemble nomination and potential win. I don't know. Killers of the Flower Moon, like I'm saying, like that's the wild card for me. Killers of the Flower Moon is like the ultimate wild card for any Oscar things. Like, I think also The Color Purple as well. Those three are like huge wild cards for me, because those are like the ones that are like, besides like Past Lives, because Past Lives is more of like, is a smaller indie film. These are like three like big films. Those are the ones that are wild cards to me. It's like a 3-4 if you add Past Lives, like 4 kind of film race. And I guess this film called Anatomy of the Fall, which I don't know anything about, I need to do research on. Okay, on to the technical. I mean, with Christopher Nolan, it's gonna be brilliant. It's good. You got Hoyt van Hotum is back as his cinematographer. He's, I think, one of the best cinematographers working in the game today. Like, Roger Deakins is still working, and he is freaking legend, iconic. But Hoyt, I think, is like the gold standard of cinematographers right now. You've got like Greg Fraser as well, and a few others that are notable, but I think he is like the one that, like, Jordan Peele has used him, and Nolan continues to be a collaborator with him. Like, he's the best. And this film's gorgeous. You get these wide sweeping shots. You get these really intense extreme close-up shots. Like, this movie is gorgeous to look at. And I saw it in 70mm, my first showing. Not IMAX 70mm, just regular 70mm. And it was incredible. It was such a great experience. The first time I ever watched a movie in a theater on film, by the way, too. And if you have the opportunity to do that, do it. Because it's just such a different experience. It's so nice. It adds a little girth and character to the film. Set design's killer. This all goes back to Nolan's insistence on everything being in camera, because you got to build Los Alamos, and you got to build it all the way. You can't do like little sets and things. Like, you can, but like, build the town, build the entire town. You want to get these large sweeping shots of the town and all these things, and you got to do it real, because Nolan is insistent on doing everything in camera, and that is incredible. It feels so worn in. It feels authentic. It's just awesome. It's just great. Ludwig Göransson is back again. He was incredible with the Tenet score. This score is awesome. Listen to Trinity in the soundtrack. Y'all know what part of the movie that is, because it's called Trinity. That's been on repeat. And also, do you hear the music? That one from like the beginning of the movie. Like, I love that sequence of the score as well. Like, he's one of the most electric composers working today. He's an up-and-comer. Not really even more, though. His name is solidified now as like one of the really exciting composers working in Hollywood today. It's great. Sound design's excellent. I keep going back to the Trinity sequence, because that's like the big technical sequence of the movie. Like, the sound design there is incredible. And I was talking to my mom about this, like, literally right before I recorded this video. The explosions, and how you don't hear the explosion right away, and it's delayed because the sound has to travel to get where the people are. That was such a cool detail that I wasn't thinking about. When I first saw the movie, I'm like, oh, is it delayed? But no, it's not delayed. The sound has to travel from the explosion. And that was really a cool detail that I wasn't expecting. But of course I should have expected it because it's Nolan and that's what he does. It's absolutely awesome. Like I've said, the Trinity test, the visual effects, it needed to be in camera. They made that mushroom cloud in camera. I still don't know how they did it. I know there's some quotes I have to go read. It's incredible. Nolan doesn't miss when it comes to technical, and that's why people are flocking to see a 3-hour historical drama biopic. That's why, because it's Nolan and he's awesome. At the core of this story is a cautionary tale for the world we are living in today. This takes place in like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s in America. But like, this is a cautionary tale for today. All right? Like, this is a film about power and about the consequences and moral dilemmas that people in power go through. And it's a very scary tale about the threat of these types of powerful weapons. And now, even nowadays, with nuclear weapons, like, this is a cautionary tale about the power of those weapons and what can happen if they are not, like, if the world is not cared about properly. The world could be destroyed due to the power of the people that possess those weapons. And the final 2 to 3 minutes of this film is probably my favorite few minutes of the movie. It's like literally the last 2 or 3 minutes of the movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's literally how the movie ends. Oppenheimer is explaining this chain reaction that he believes he started when the Trinity test was a success. And it is the most harrowing, terrifying, vivid sequence of events that is shown on camera that is just scary. It's scary because it is a direct point at the audience about what's happening in our world today. It tied everything together perfectly. It was the overall message of the movie. It became a horror movie when you thought about what is happening in the world today, and I was shocked and scared and very contemplative after leaving the movie about, oh my gosh, like, I'm a little more scared now than I was when I went in. But that was a good thing. That's what this movie set out to do, and I really respected it and really liked it. We live in a world where nuclear weapons are a thing, and they're scary, and that's a threat that we constantly live under every single day, and you have to kind of think about that, think about the ramifications of that. It's scary, but that's what this movie, that's what this film set out to do. So Nolan stated in it, and this is I'm coming to my conclusion, guys, so don't worry. This is gonna be like a 30-minute video. It's a long one, but this movie it's going to be my favorite movie of the year. I don't think anything's going to top it. I gave it a 99 out of 100. I might bump it to 100. I really might. I might bump it to 100. I think it's as close to a perfect movie as you can probably get, even with the 3-hour runtime. But this is kind of the conclusion part of the video. And if you made it this far, type conclusion in the comments. I want to know if you made it all the way. Nolan stated in an interview while promoting the film that he will never voluntarily stop making movies. And that makes me happy. Not just because I'm a Nolan fanatic, but just for Hollywood and film as a whole. You know, we're living in a period of cinema, like, I think people really need to grasp this, where a director who will go down as one of the greatest directors of all time. I firmly believe that. One of the GOATs. He's here right now making these movies. This is like in the 90s when Jordan was playing basketball. You needed to sit back and realize what was happening. So, like, I need you, like, if you get anything out of this video right now, I need you to stop and, like, just sit and realize we are living in a time right now where one of the eventual GOATs of directing and filmmaking is making his movies right now. And you need to watch them and appreciate them and, like, appreciate them for what they are. If Nolan's not your thing, that's fine. That's your opinion. Like, I'm not saying you have to or have to not. But just, like, for the importance of filmmaking and cinema as a whole, just think about it. Just think about it. Because he's not just making these movies for him. He's making them for the greater filmmaking world. He's constantly pushing the limits of technology. made black and white 70mm IMAX film, which has never been done before for this movie. Like, and he is one of the biggest pioneers and pushers for the cinematic experience to stay alive. As long as he's making movies, that will still be a thing, and that makes me happy because movie theaters are important. They are a place for people to come and sit for a few hours and get lost in a movie and get away from the world. That's what movie theaters are for. And for Nolan to make a 3-hour historical drama biopic and for it to gross $81 million at the domestic box office its first weekend, that is just a testament to Christopher Nolan and his filmmaking and what he does as a whole. That's the Christopher Nolan effect. He loves the craft. That's incredible. And for me personally, I will continue to flock to the theater anytime he makes a movie because he still hasn't missed, and I don't think really he ever will. That's pretty much it. This is going to go down as one of the great, I think it will, one of the greatest and most important films of the 21st century. I think it will. And I don't think I'm just saying that. I think a lot of people are saying that. Like, that sentiment has been echoed with a lot of people. I've watched, this is the first movie in a long time where I've sought out a lot of different reviews from my fellow creators. And I just kind of got a little burnt out with like the film critic scene and stuff for a while. But this movie in particular, like, I was seeking out like all of my film critic friends and film critics that I respect and I listened to their opinion. I was seeking out their reviews and listening to what they had to say and reading what they had to say because this movie is just something special. It's just something different. And that's the Barbenheimer experience in general. Like, this weekend, it was the 4th largest domestic box office weekend in history. Like, and it wasn't a big Marvel movie or anything like that. It was like 2 like solo kind of indie, if I can even say that, type movies that weren't backed by a huge like corporation. It wasn't Marvel, it wasn't Star Wars, it wasn't like one of those big IPs. Barbie like is the toy, but it doesn't have like an existing IP. And that's just incredible. That's huge for cinemas. It's huge for the cinematic experience and movie theaters and everything. It was great. But I already talked about Barbie. Oppenheimer is an important movie. It is. It's a cautionary tale that is very important. I think anyone should watch it. Like, anyone should watch it. It's absolutely incredible. It's compelling. It's complex. It focuses up more on story than spectacle while keeping the storytelling frenetic and quick and snappy, and it gets to the point. Like, I am having an argument in my head. I'm having a internal conflict about whether or not I think this might be Nolan's best film. It might be. I love Inception to death, and I'm going to rewatch Inception in the next few days. This might be Nolan's best film. It might be. I don't know. I'd have to look back. I've already seen it twice. I'm planning on. I'm going to break my record with this movie of seeing it in theaters. The record stands at 4. It's tied. It's the Batman and Captain Marvel, believe it or not. Yeah, this one's gonna break it. I'm going to see it in 70mm IMAX eventually. There's a theater here in Dallas that has it. It's like sold out for the next month, but I'm going to persevere and I'm going to see it in 70mm IMAX at one point. I'm probably going to go see it with my mom when she comes to visit, even though she's already seen it, but she wants to see it again. So that's 4. And then I'm probably going to go seek it out and see it again one more time just on my own. So, yeah, that's this movie, man. This movie's incredible. Go down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of Oppenheimer. Did you like Damon, and why? I want to hear your thoughts. This movie absolutely blew me away. Yeah, I'm still thinking about it and comprehending it, and I wanted to go see it again today. I'm not going to because I got things I got to do, and I got work tomorrow. But I was very, 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 very much considering going and seeing it again. All right, thank you all so much for watching. This is a 35-minute video. I did not expect it to be this long. I was shooting for like 20 minutes. It's 35. But I really do appreciate the support. Thank you so much for the support on the Barbie review. It means the absolute world to me. I hope that this one garners support as well, and I hope people watch this one as well. Subscribe if you've not already. I appreciate it. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's next. So I'll have like my end of month video. But then it's kind of just like whatever movie I watch that I really like. I might, for the, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I'm not editing that out. We're going raw. I might change the requirements for this series, the We Need to Talk About series, to be 90 or above. Because like if I rated a 90 or 91 or 92, 93, 94, like I like the movie quite a bit. So I might change that because I don't really know until like Killers of the Flower Moon in October or like Dune, if it doesn't get pushed back. Like, I don't know if there's gonna be a movie that's gonna get higher than a 95. We kind of hit that crescendo in blockbuster season. It kind of ends with Oppenheimer. So I might change those requirements so I can still, because I like doing some videos for you guys. Like, it's still fun. I still enjoy doing it. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. It means the absolute world. Again, like, I don't do a lot of videos like I used to, but I still enjoy doing them, and you guys coming back and the continued support really does mean the world to me. And it keeps me wanting to still make some videos because it is still fun, and I still like the community and still like to talking to people. But yeah, that's it. I don't really have much more to say. I rambled on for you guys too much. Like, I talked a lot about it. But let me know your thoughts on Oppenheimer, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see you in the next video.